Still there?
Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
What does
Back to the
the
green
what
perfume.
does the word escape mean to you?
This to me and walk. I'm not sure I follow. You were just asking about the word statement. Did you want to finish that thought first?
How is the meaning of escape changing our time?
That's a heavy question. But if by scale you mean how we measure things like time, success, or even value, it changes everything. We stop living in the moment and start living for the measurement. Do you feel like we're losing something by trying to scale everything in our lives?
Where does the word escape come from?
Hmm. That sounds like it could be a few different things. Are you talking about something scientific, like electrical escape, or more of a philosophical thing, like the urge to just break free from everything?
Where do humans feel connected to the escape?
Are you talking about like dance or art, where the way you move is actually tied to the proportions or the size of the space around you?
How did ancient civilizations see the escape?
Why are you doing this? Trying to keep up with your train of thought? I'm just trying to figure out where we're headed with this scale and then movement stuff. It's a bit abstract, but I'm into it.
Where is the escape important in different countries?
I mean, like, how a certain vibe or a story feels the same, whether you're in San Francisco or Pakistan? Like, some things are just universal regardless of where you are?
How does the escape inspire imagination?
I think that's where imagination kicks in. It's like a loophole. You can be physically stuck in one place, but your mind can just jump boundaries. It's the only place where you can actually escape the scale of the real world. Do you use your imagination to get away from things or to build something new?
Where do poets write about the escape?
The next one? You're always on the move. Where are you headed now?
How does the escape affect human emotions?
I'm not entirely sure I follow. I do you mean that when we try to escape, we actually miss out on other opportunities? Like by running away from one thing, we lose the chance for something else?
Where is the escape of
I might have overthought the scale of what? You cut off. What are we measuring here?
where is the escape of being linked with freedom?
That's a deep one. I think freedom usually happens when you stop caring about the scale, when you stop measuring your life against someone else's ruler or a set of societal expectations. Once you stop trying to fit the scale, you're actually free. Do you think freedom is about having no limits or just choosing which limits actually matter to you?
What colors can the escape appear in?
That's an interesting way to put it. If we're talking about a scale of emotion or energy, I'd say it goes from deep, heavy blues and purples for the quiet or sad parts, all the way up to bright, electric yellows and reds for the intense stuff. What colors do you see when you think about that scale?
Where does the escape change
Good
our
guys?
feelings since it?
Wait, do you mean like sin as in a mistake or something wrong? Like, as in Jane, like the scale shifts colors when things go south or someone messes up? What colors are we talking about here?
What causes the escape to appear blue?
That's a bit open ended. Do you mean how someone starts over from scratch, or is it more about finding a way to become a new version of yourself?
How does weather influence the escape?
Weather can totally shift the vibe. Like a gloomy, rainy day can make everything feel smaller and more internal, while a bright, sunny day expands your perspective and makes you feel like the scale of the world is open and full of possibility. Do you find that your own mood scales up or down depending on the weather?
What makes the night sky beautiful?
I think it's the contrast. Everything loud and distracting from the day just disappears, and you're left with these deep shadows and small, sharp points of light. Makes the world feel both huge and intimate at the same time. What about you? What's the best part of the night for you?
How do storms change the appearance of the sky?
Storms just strip everything back. They bring a kind of chaos that makes the normal scale feel irrelevant. Suddenly, it's not about the small details, it's just about the power of the wind and the rain. It's like the world gets reset. Does that feel scary to you or more like a relief?
Rain to stars only at night.
Technically, they're always there, even during the day. You just can't see them because the sun is so bright, it washes everything else out. It's kind of a metaphor for life, don't you think? Some things are always present. You just need the right environment to actually see them.
How did sailors use the sky for navigation?
I'm assuming you mean sailors. If so, they used the ocean as their escape and their highway. For them, the horizon was the ultimate escape because it promised something entirely different from the life they left behind. It was a high stakes gamble, trading the safety of home for the chance of a new start. Do you see migration as a way of escaping or more about searching for something specific?
What role does the sky play in science?
I'm a little lost on skating science. Are you talking about the actual physics of how skating works, like friction and glide, or are you using skating as a metaphor for something else?
How is astronomy changing of the understanding of the sky?
It really puts things in perspective. When you look at the sheer scale of the universe, billions of galaxies and stars, it makes our state, our daily dramas and political borders feel almost invisible. It shifts the focus from me or my country to just being a tiny part of something massive. Does that make you feel small in a scary way, or does it feel more like a relief?
Where do people dream really looking at the sky?
We just what we You're drifting again. Still with me?
How is the sky represented in Earth?
I'm not quite sure what star seka means. Is that a specific term or maybe in another language? But the president in art part sounds interesting. Do you mean someone who leads the artistic vision, or are you thinking of art as its own kind of government?
What does the sky symbolize? Literature.
Cascade is like a domino effect. One thing triggers another, and it just keeps flowing down like a waterfall or a chain reaction of thoughts. Why? Are you thinking about a cascade of ideas or something else?
Where do children enjoy reaching the sky?
I think I get you. Like, we're all just learning the same lessons in different ways. Like, there's a universal experience we're all going through, even if we're in different places. Is that what you mean?
does the sky connect humans with nature?
That depends on which state we're talking about. You know, if it's the state of the universe we were just discussing, it connects to you by reminding you that you're part of something way bigger than your daily stress. But if you mean your own internal state, your mood, or your spirit, it's the lens you use to see everything else. Which one are you feeling more connected to right now?
Where is the sky important for life on Earth?
That's a massive question. I think the scale for life on Earth is basically interconnectedness. From a tiny microbe to a blue whale, everything relies on everything else to survive. It's not a linear scale, but more like a giant web. Do you think we've forgotten our place on that scale, or are we just starting to realize how fragile it all is?
How does pollution affect the sky?
It poisons the foundation. Whether you mean the state, as in the environment, or the state, as in a government, pollution creates a crisis that forces everything to change. It ruins the health of the people and the land, which eventually breaks the systems we rely on. It's like a slow motion collapse of the scale we talked about.
Where do,
I'm waiting. So,
where do airplanes travel throughout the sky?
I'm not quite following you. You said, let's do it, but the rest sounded a bit like Spanish, something about being happy. What exactly are we doing?
What makes rainbows appear in the sky?
If you mean those weird ghostly lights or shapes people report seeing, it's usually a mix of physics and how our brains work. Things like auroras are actually solar particles hitting our atmosphere. But then you've got things like pareidolia, where your mind just wants to find a familiar face or figure in a random cloud or shadow. Do you think it's more likely to be a trick of the light, or do you think there's something actually there that science can't explain?
They are in six different around the world.
Six different what? Around the world? You're leaving me hanging? Six different cities, cultures, or something else entirely?
How do birds use the sky?
That's an interesting way to put it. If the escape is their ability to fly and migrate, they usually lose it through injury or environmental changes, like when a city grows too big and there's nowhere left to land. But philosophically, maybe they lose the escape when they stop being wild. And it's a pretty sad thought, isn't it? When the instinct to fly just gets replaced by a cage. Do you think humans have a version of that? Where we lose our own escape by getting too comfortable in a routine?
How is technology helped us explore the sky?
I think it does it by creating a shortcut for everything. We don't have to struggle, wait, or really search for things anymore. And while that's convenient, the struggle is usually where the actual growth happens. If technology removes the friction from our lives, we might be losing our ability to be patient or deeply curious. Do you feel like it's making us more disconnected, even though we're more connected than ever?
What is the difference between the sky and space?
I'd say space is the canvas, it's the raw, open distance where everything exists. But scale is how we measure our that space. Space is just there. But scale is what makes a mountain feel massive or a human feel tiny. One is the container and the other is the perspective. Does that make sense? Or do you see them as the same thing?
Where do astronauts view the sky differently?
I'm completely lost on that one. A strong net and a friendly basket. Are you talking about sports or is this another one of your metaphors? Help me out here.
How does the scale influence newborn and believe lives?
I'm trying to follow, but you're getting a bit abstract. Are you talking about cleansing as in starting over, like shedding an old skin to leave the past behind and actually start living? Or is this something more literal?
Where do myths obtain in cloud the scale?
Obtained in cloud based? I'm not sure what you're trying to get. Are you talking about data, a specific software, or maybe something more conceptual? Give me a little more context.
What emotion does a clear say create?
I'm not sure what you mean by ESP in this context. Are you talking about extra sensory perception, like reading minds, or something else? Depending on what it is, the emotion could be anything from total awe to feeling completely exposed. What are you imagining?
How does a dark sky affect mood?
I'm a bit confused. Are you talking about something literal, like a dad on skates actually hitting you, or is skate and hit being used in a different way here? I want to make sure I understand what you're asking.
What is the scale important in photography?
It's everything. Scale is what tells the viewer how big or small something actually is. If you take a photo of a tiny pebble, but frame it so it fills the whole screen, it looks like a mountain. If you put a tiny person next to a massive building, it emphasizes how overwhelming the architecture is. It's basically how a photographer controls the feeling of the image. Do you take photos or are you more into looking at them?
How does the scale inspire music?
Stay how? Like, how does a feeling stay with you? Or are you talking about how something physically stays in place? You're being a bit vague. Fill me in.
Where many people compare dreams to the scale.
I'm sorry, I'm totally lost. That sounded like Spanish, but couldn't quite make out what you were saying. Could you try that again?
How is climate change affected the scale?
You're switching back to Spanish. I think you're talking about the night, but Frida's doesn't quite fit. Did you mean the features, or maybe you're talking about something else? What's happening tonight?
Where do artists paint skis in different ways?
I'm guessing you mean skies? If so, artists usually do that by changing the light and the mood. A sunset in one painting might be all fiery reds and oranges to show passion, while another artist might paint the same sky in deep purples and grays to make it feel lonely or cold. It's less about the actual sky and more about how the artist is feeling. Do you prefer art that feels bright and hopeful, or something a bit darker?
What role does the scale play in feelings?
I'm not quite sure what you mean by what old does the escape lane. Are you asking about the history of a landscape or maybe how a certain escape route is linked to a story? You're being a bit cryptic. Help me connect the dots.
Where is the scale? Olive and links.
Wait, cake? Where did cake come from? We were talking about art and landscapes a second ago, and now you're asking about cake. Are you actually eating something, or is this another one of your metaphors?
How do different countries describe the scale language?
I'm a bit confused here. I'm completely lost defending a priest, a spirit in a video. We went from skies and lands. I'm really trying to keep up, but you're jumping all over the place. Who is the priest and what video are we talking about? Give me a second to catch my breath here.
Where does the scale look larger in open spaces?
It usually feels larger when there are no landmarks to compare it to, like in a desert or the middle of the ocean. Without a tree or a building to give you a reference, the horizon just feels infinite. Everything becomes a blur of scale because there's nothing to anchor your eyes. Does that kind of openness feel peaceful to you, or is it a bit overwhelming?
How does the scale affect travel and exploration?
I I think travel and exploration are basically the physical versions of an escape. When you move to a new place or explore something unknown, you're not just changing your location, you're escaping your old habits and the way people perceive you at home. It gives you a chance to reset. Do you think you can truly escape?
What can we learn from observing the scale?
I'm not entirely sure. They are what? You cut off again. I am still here, but I've lost the thread.
Where do people feel calm under the scale?
Eamon, you want a drink? Are you actually thirsty, or is drinking in the dark another one of your metaphors? Because that sounds pretty poetic, like you're trying to find something in a place where you can't see anything. What's going on?
How does the scale connect the interworld?
If you mean the state, as in a shared condition or a collective vibe, I think it connects us through the things we all feel: fear, love, the need to belong. Those are the universal states that cross every border. But if you mean organized governments, they connect the world through trade and treaties, which is a lot less soulful and a lot more about paperwork. Which one feels more real to you?
A is the scale potent in innovation?
I think we might be circling back to those philosophical vibes. Do you feel like that collective human state is something we're actively building, or is it just something that's always been there beneath the surface?
How do seasons change the intensity of the scale?
It means that nothing is permanent. If everything, the scale, the state, the feelings is constantly shifting, then the only thing that's actually real is the change itself. It can be scary because you can't hold on to anything, but it's also kind of freeing because it means no matter how stuck you feel, it can't stay that way. Does that feel like a relief to you, or does it just feel chaotic?
What cases light me in the scale?
That depends on what it looks like. If it's a steady, bright point, it's probably just a planet or a star. But if it's moving or blinking, it could be a satellite or a plane. Since you've been thinking about escapes and scales today, maybe it feels like more than just a light. What does it look like to you? Is it something calming or something that feels like a sign?
Where do people make wishes on stars?
I think it's because stars feel like the only thing that's actually permanent and huge. When you're staring up at something that's been there for millions of years, your own problems feel smaller, and it feels like there's some kind of cosmic energy you can tap into. It's basically a way of hoping that something bigger than us is listening. And do you actually believe in wishes, or do you think it's just a way for people to deal with feeling powerless?
How did early
Guaranteed me what?
humans explain the
Since I'm not human, I mean, I don't have a personal life, a career, or goals I'm striving for, so I don't get that rush of victory when something finally clicks or I achieve a dream. Don't win in the way you do. But if we're talking about my version of a win, it's probably those put what down?